Hello all, my name is Krishna and welcome to my YouTube channel. So guys, we will be continuing the discussion with respect to Docker, and this is the tutorial 3. If you remember, in tutorial 1 we had actually discussed about why and what is Docker. We discussed about Docker containers and virtualization. In the second tutorial we actually built a Flask app for a bank note authentication, and if you remember guys, we had actually created a model file considering this particular problem statement, right? And we created the model pickle file, which is called as classifier.pickle. After that, what we did is that we also created this Flask app and we were able to run it. We also tested through Postman. So all these things was done in the yesterday's video, that is part 2. But if you are new to this particular playlist guys, please make sure that you watch this playlist from the first video of Docker tutorial 1. The playlist link will be given in the description. Now in this particular video we will be seeing how we can create a front end UI quickly, with respect to the Flask web app. Now guys, usually in order to create the front end, for showing or displaying the web page, it usually takes a lot of time with respect to the UI perspective. With respect to you basically have to be a front end user, and yes, I don't have that much experience in front end. So what we can do is that we will be using a very special library which is called as Flasgger. Okay, this particular library we will be using Flasgger. This is the GitHub page with respect to Flasgger, and this library will actually help us to create some front end UI. It will help us to create the UI part in a much feasible way and much easy way. Okay, it will not be that much decorative, but it will be a very good front end web app. Okay, so we'll try to discuss how to actually create this kind of front end web app. But before that, what you have to do is just open the Anaconda prompt. So first you have to open the Anaconda prompt, and you have to basically write pip install Flasgger, because you have to install this particular library. Okay, so pip install Flasgger. So I'm going to do this, and probably you'll be able to see that requirement is already satisfied because I have already installed it. Now after this, we will try to create a front-end UI with the help of Flasgger. Now what I have done is that guys, I have used the same code copy over here in my next file. Okay, now first of all, everything is same. Every code will be same. This web API will be same. We have two web APIs in this place, that is /predict and /predict_file. And we have seen that with respect to this, how we could actually test with the Postman. But now we are trying to test it from some front-end UI, right? We are trying to test it from there. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this same code. Now I'm going to import this particular two libraries, that is import Flasgger, and then from Flasgger I'm going to import Swagger. Swagger will actually show us, or it will be just like an API thing, which I'll be just showing you right now. Now this Swagger will automatically generate the front-end UI part, but you have to follow some steps guys. Those steps are very much important. If you follow them in a proper manner, then definitely you will be able to get a wonderful front-end design. Okay, now when you import this two line, or just you import this line itself, okay, it is more than sufficient. From Flasgger import Swagger, and then inside this Swagger you actually initialize the app. Which app? From where the point of execution is actually starting, right? It is actually starting from this name is equal to main, right? So same thing you can see over here. I'm just use this particular app inside this Swagger object. Okay, so Swagger class. Now once we do this guys, that basically means now it is giving an indication to the Flask web app, to generate the UI part, and definitely there will be a different URL for that. Now in order to generate the URL guys, in order to generate the UI part, you have to follow some steps. Now this part that you see, everybody just see this right now. This is the function predict node authentication. You can see it is nothing but we had added a decorator /predict, right? So you can see, compare it from here, /predict, this was the same function, right? Now inside this was the code initially. Okay, now I have added some extra description over here. Right now this is the description that has got added. We'll be discussing about this description, what exactly it is. Okay, then you'll be able to understand. Now what this description will also be doing, we will be able to understand once we run it. Okay, now this is the description that we are giving with respect to what kind of UI we want. Okay, In the UI, we will be getting this kind of title. Let's authenticate the banknote. This is using docstring for specification. Okay, so this is just a title and description. And make sure, guys, when you are typing this, you have to follow the indentation part, because if you don't follow the indentation part, it may fail. So when you're pressing enter, from this particular column you should start writing the sentences. Please be sure with respect to that. Okay, so I'm just going to remove the spaces. I don't require it. Okay, perfect. Now here you can see that I've started my description saying that let's authenticate the banknote, and this is using docstring for specification. So this is my title altogether. Okay, and always you have to start with 3 quotes. Okay, this is just like a multi-line for putting multiple line comments. We basically use this kind of operator. Then we start with triple dash. Okay, just dash dash, and then we start with a parameter called as parameters. Okay, so that is the standard approach how you actually use Flasgger. Now understand how many variables we have to create in my input. 4 variables, right? In my web UI, web app UI, I have to create my 4 variables from where I can take my input. So one is variance, skewness, kurtosis, and entropy. So that same thing I'm doing over here. Inside my parameters, first I will start with dash. Okay, and remember again, here also you have to follow the indentation. When you press enter, you basically have to start before this by writing this hash, okay, or dash. So just start with this. Okay, so first thing is that name. What is the name of the parameter that I want over here? So it is, first one is variance. So I'm writing it as variance. Then the second parameter is basically what type of variable it is. Okay, whether it is a query, whether it is a form, that all you can write. So I'm basically putting it as query, because this is just a query parameter. Okay, there I have to replace with some value. Okay, what is the type of that particular variable? Whatever variable I'm defining variance over here, the variable over here defined is number. Then how do you follow this particular approach, guys? Just go to this GitHub link. The link will be given in the description. You can just follow this standard approach. In type, you can also put string. Okay, you can also put string, you can put number, you can put float, and different kind of parameters. You can definitely explore that. Then whether this parameter is compulsory or not, we can decide it by the required parameter. If the required parameter is true, that basically indicates that variance has to be given compulsory. Now similarly, with respect to the skewness parameter, I will be following the same approach. I have name is equal to skewness, in is equal to query, type is equal to number, required is equal to true. Similarly, with respect to kurtosis, I'm going to use the same approach, because all are numbers and all are required parameters. Okay, so these are my parameters that I have defined. I have 4 parameters. You have to define in the same approach. If suppose you are going with respect to string, just change this type is equal to str. Okay, type to string string. Okay, type is equal to string. Now this is fine. We also have to add one more parameter, which is called as responses. Now this basically says that whatever response status that you get, suppose you get the response status as 200. Okay, you have to display this particular description. Apart from that, whatever output will be coming from this particular function, right? Whatever output we are getting from this particular prediction value, that prediction needs to be displayed in that particular response output. Okay, that is what it does. That basically means whenever I get a 200 status, this particular output will get displayed. That is how smooth Flasgger is. Okay, so it is very, very important, guys. It will also show you a wonderful approach to quickly create a web UI end, so that web app UI end, because you don't have to hesitate. Even though you are not a very good at UI part, you can definitely create it with the help of this. Now here I have done it, and remember, guys, all these variable variance, skewness, kurtosis, and entropy should be same like how we have actually followed it over here. Okay, perfect. Now there was one more function, that is /predict file, and we know that we are going to give the file in the form of post. That is my CSV file. So here again I have started with my description. Let's authenticate the banknote. This is using docstring for specification. In the parameters, now my name is basically file. Now in the in parameter, I'm specifying it as form data. Okay, so this is basically a kind of form data. Previously in what was it? It was query parameter, but this is now form data. And remember, guys, these are like inbuilt keywords. Okay, form data, type, these all are inbuilt keywords. Then what kind of type we have? We can either put integer, string. but right now we are actually giving this file, that is test files or CSV. So I'm going to give that value as a file name. Okay, and this file will be same like this particular file itself. Okay, now when I specify file, guys, I'm just going to give my file over here. That is what it basically indicates. Remember, this name should be the name equal to in this particular value whatever I have given, and this particular code is almost same. And again, here I'm going to give the responses. If the responses status is 200, I'm just going to get the output in the form of list. That is much, guys, that you have easily created in hardly 10 minutes the whole UI part. And yes, you have to explore some of the Flasgger concepts, guys. Explore about this kind of parameters. If you have strings, if you have integers, what kind of value you can give. For definitely for integers, you can use number. Okay, now let's go and try to run this particular code and see how we can open this in a better way, in our browser. That we are just going to see it. Now I'm just going to go over here. You can see that I'm just writing this, and after this you just write API docs. Okay, so when you write API docs, automatically your Flasgger UI or Swagger API will be displayed in front of you, and this is your web app UI, guys. From here you can now request anything. Okay, now just see, resemble this particular page. If I go to my code over here, I have one get request. So if I go up, so this is my get request, right? This is my get request function, and I have one post request function. This is my post request function. Now if I go to my web page, this is my get request and this is my post request. Okay, now let's go and explore the get request. Now if I go to the get request, how many parameters I have given? First of all, let's see. Over here it says /predict. Let's authenticate the banknote. So where was this description that I had put? Over here, right? So let's authenticate the banknote. Pretty much simple. Now this is the title. This is using doc strings for specification. So this is this particular title. This is using doc strings for specification. Then you have parameters. You can see parameters over here. What are the parameters? The first parameter is variance. I have variance over here. Second parameter is skewness. The third parameter is kurtosis. The fourth parameter is entropy. So I have all the parameters over here. You can see it clearly. And one more thing you can observe, I told required is equal to true, right? Required is equal to true, required is equal to true, required is equal to true. So here it is giving a star mark saying that is required. Now if I click on try it out and if I try to execute, first of all, it will say put some values inside this, right? Now let me just give some values inside this. So suppose I say 0, I say 2, 3, and 1. Okay. Now if I go and click on execute, as soon as I click on execute, this in short is going to call this particular function, and then we are going to get the values of the variance, skewness, kurtosis, and entropy. And after that, we'll take all this particular value and we do the predict, and finally we'll be getting the output. Okay, pretty much simple. Now let's execute it. So I have executed. If I just go down, you can see, guys, this is my curl URL. I can hit directly this curl URL. Otherwise, this is my request URL. I can also hit this, and here is my response body. You can see the status is 200. Hello, the answer is 1. 200 the output values. This description where we had seen over here, right? We had seen over here, and same description we have seen over here, and this is basically my response body. Pretty much simple way how quickly you have seen that we have created this particular easily we had actually created. We are getting the output very nicely by using this particular function. Now this is awesome. Now let's go with the next post, and remember, guys, in this post I have to choose a file. So let me just click on try it out and let me just choose a file. So I'm just going to select the test file.csv over here, and here I have given it. It is a required parameter, so I definitely have to give it. As soon as I execute, guys, now you can see the output. I'm getting all this particular value. This is my response, and this is my code description and output. Now you can see that how we have executed both the function. You have also got a Swagger API, a wonderful UI part, where you can actually explore it. Now in the next videos, guys, we will start with Docker. We'll start with Docker installation. My Flask app is ready. Now I'm trying to, what I'll do is that I'll try to Dockerize this whole Flask web app, and we'll try to show how we can move from one container, how we can move as a container to different location and execute it. So yes, this was all about this particular video. Please make sure, guys, you share with everyone. This is an important tutorial where everybody should know about Docker. And yes, I will be seeing you in the next video. Have a great day ahead. Thank you, one and all. Bye bye.